So this final session is called Digital, What are the Opportunities for Engagement and Empowerment? In the last session, Simon mentioned the need for providers to offer more than one channel. So some people, especially people with mental health issues, might find the telephone a bit intimidating, so we suggested there should be online provision. Zoe's going to be talking about some apps that can help consumers make choices. We had some reference to comparison websites. Well, that's great as long as you're online and as long as you've got not just the connectivity but the confidence and the skills to use the internet. And that's not the case for everybody, as I'm sure the first of our two speakers will make clear. So the first speaker in this session is Aniela Kaczmarczyk. She's Head of Learning at the Good Things Foundation. She may tell you a little bit about the Good Things Foundation. It started off life as UK Online Centres, then it became the Tinder Foundation, and then embarrassingly somebody else came up with a different use for the word Tinder. So it was changed to the Good Things Foundation. I don't think anybody can possibly be opposed to good things. I was on the board of the Good Things Foundation for its first 6 years, so I'm a great fan of its work. So please welcome Aniela.
Thank you, Roger. And yes, as like you said, we did change our names just in the same week that the Tinder dating app launched. So as you can imagine, that was slightly embarrassing. But we are now Good Things Foundation. So yeah, my name's Aniela Kaczmarczyk, and and I am the Head of Learning at Good Things Foundation. And I'm, in part of my conversation, I'm really going to, I know there was a question on the agenda around kind of, how do we ensure that all consumers have the necessary connectivity and skills, and I can definitely sort of tell you about how we can definitely help make sure that people do have the skills to be able to access the internet. And I first just want to start by sharing a story about Margaret. So Margaret was one of our 2 millionth learners. We had an award ceremony here just this time last year because we'd reached supporting 2 million people to get online. And Margaret was one of these ladies. So Margaret's background was that she was diagnosed as an alcoholic by her GP. And once she had that diagnosis, her life pretty much spiraled out of control. Pretty much thinking about the conversations we had before this session, her circumstance, she had a change in circumstance. And that led to her then losing her job, she became depressed, and her life was not as she knew it anymore. Luckily, she found an online centre, and I'll tell you a bit more about online centres, because they're organisations that we work with. Luckily, she found an online centre. She was referred to an online centre by her caseworker, who thought that she might benefit from gaining some new skills, so new ways to develop herself. So she came to our online centre in Lewisham. She gained digital skills, and through that she was empowered to take back control of her life. So that meant gaining the digital skills to enable her to search for work. It enabled her to reconnect with her family, and it also enabled her to go out into her community and help other people to get online. So she's now helping her neighbour who has a disability to access health services online. And the reason I remember Margaret is because Margaret came up to us when we had the award ceremony, and she said, "You don't realise how much this has changed my life. My family now say to me, I am proud of you." And these are small, we take basic digital skills for granted, but it completely changed Margaret's life. So that's and the reason I want to talk about Margaret is, and we said this already, it's come up today, it's about people. A lot of this is about people, they're individuals, they're humans, and we really need to make sure that we understand that. So, as Roger says, not everybody is online, and there are huge benefits to being online. So the stat actually sits at around 11.6 million adults in the UK currently do not have access to the internet or have the skills to be able to confidently use the internet themselves. So if you're over on this side over here, it's all bright, it's nice, it's colourful, we're all every day benefiting from being online. I'm sure in this room today we've all been online probably in the last 5 minutes, possibly. Just me getting here from Sheffield today included me going online a number of times. My train service is online, basically my map to get here. So it's great if you're over on this side, but what if you're not? What if you're on this side, the grey side? So who are the people that are not online? So they're more likely to be older people. They're more likely to be people who are not employed, who are on lower income, people with disabilities. And what are those barriers? There's a number of barriers that people face to getting online, and one of those is around actually it's too expensive. Interestingly, 15% of people said it was too expensive, and that has improved from the previous year. But the other thing is around skills. Where do people go to get those support to benefit from getting online? And what we've done with this, so this is our research that we've done over a number of years, and in the middle you'll see the bridge. And actually thinking about Margaret and the benefits to her life from a social and economic benefits, these are all the things that we've identified as the outcomes from the social impact outcomes from getting online. And I'll tell you a bit more about those as we go through the presentation. So around 11.5, not 11.6 adults lack one or more basic digital skills. And you can again just see what I've mentioned there already, but it tends to be people who are from a lower social economic background, who are on lower incomes, who are unemployed. If you are unemployed now, you have to get online to apply for a job. If you go to your local job centre, the first thing they will do is say, you need to go and register on Universal Job Match. And we've heard stories of people where they've not been able to register on Universal Job Match and they get their benefits stopped and they're sanctioned. It can take someone quite a good few weeks to get the basic digital skills to just be able to apply for a job. So who are we? So Good Things Foundation, we are a charity, and we are a digital inclusion charity that is driving for social change and impact. So it's not just about giving someone digital skills, it's about the bigger picture. What happens when someone gets those digital skills? And we're doing those social outcomes through digital. So how do we do that? So I mentioned Margaret went to an online centre in her local area in Lewisham. So across the UK, we have around 3,000 organisations that are available in your community where you can go to get support and access to use the internet. This can be anything from your local library. It could be, we have fish and chip shops, we have cafes, it could be in a local community organisation that's doing other activity. So for example, it might be a food bank. But basically the idea is that these are a number of organisations that share our vision. We don't own these organisations, they sign up to be part of this movement. And we help around 200,000 people a year to gain those basic digital skills, and we wouldn't be able to do that without our online centres network. So this is just to give you an idea. We have a national map of organisations where you can find where your nearest online centre is to go and get that help and that support. And we also provide we've got a learning product called Learn My Way. So this is our flagship product aimed at supporting those to gain basic digital skills. And everything from the very basics of using a computer, using a device, right through to helping you find a job online. And more recently, we've worked with Lloyds Bank in group to create a how-to universal credit guide. We spoke a bit earlier today about making sure that actually we design services that are easy and user-friendly for everybody. Unfortunately, we still have to have guides to help people to do online services. And we also do in partnership. So for us, partnership is key. So we work with government departments. So one of our biggest government departments that we work with is Department for Education. And that's primarily to support people to get the basic digital skills they need for life. But then we also work across other sectors, including the charity sector and also the private sector, to ensure that we are reaching as many people as possible. So that might be through programmes of delivery, like our programme with the Department for Education. It might be research. And most recently, we're doing a programme, widening participation programme with NHS England, where we're looking at how we can actually support people to access health services online. So the benefits, there's benefits across on all different levels. So from a government, society, and more importantly, for the individual. So by getting online, we're helping everybody, and there's value along the whole of the chain. So here's just some of the impact from a societal level of getting people online. So over the years, since actually it was 2010, so we've helped 2.3 million people since 2010 to gain better digital skills. 92% of those people have said they've improved their quality of life. So thinking about Margaret, her relationship with her family, her confidence, her ability to now go back out there into the workplace. 48% of people feel more in charge of their finances and are able to manage their money better. So we all know by being online, we've talked about comparison websites, accessing your banking on a minute by minute, hour by hour basis. And we've done a number of projects around financial inclusion as well. And I mentioned there about progressing into employment. From a government-led point of view, channel shift. Services are moving online, universal credit is rolling out across the country. We're now starting to see the impact of that. But in terms of channel shift, the benefits to government by making sure people have access to services online in terms of reducing contact to their call centre, to their face-to-face support, and that can save the government 37.4 million to shift from the 278,000 people that we've helped get online. That's then saved the government that amount of money. And then also from an employment point of view, so we've mentioned about big thing is getting people back into work. So we've estimated from the people that we've helped get back into work that we have saved the government around 1.36 billion, and that's based on not having, or 1 year not paying their benefits from them actually being on, having a job and sufficiently supporting themselves. But more importantly, the individual. So this is based on the Lloyds Banking Group Consumer Index that they do every year. The next one will be out in May this year. But the average savings of being online for an individual, for a household, is £744 a year. And if you're on a low income family, that's £516 a year on average that you can save by being online and accessing household services online. And so from an individual point of view, it's a no-brainer, but we need to make sure that people have the access and the skills. We make sure the person's at the forefront. So it's about the individual, it's about their personal circumstances. We talked the session before was about how do you get to know about someone's vulnerability, but our organisations that we work with are in the heart of the community, they're trusted, they're places where people can go and they can share their problems. And in return they get that informal support that's going to help them get back on track. So I am running over time, so I'm going to speed up. So the one thing I just want to I think for us it's not about saying just get online. Just get online. It's about the so what. If you get online, what will happen? And that's really important. And that's always been our ethos, that it's about the individual. And I think the other key thing is that we are about developing digital resilience. So particularly thinking about actually giving the skills to people so they can confidently and independently continue to use the internet for themselves. So there's no point in helping someone just fill a form in on their universal credit. What happens when they need to then update that? What happens if they get an email to say they've got some updates but they don't have those skills? So it's about creating confident individual users and empowering people. So how are we going to do that? So for us, we're a network of organisations, it's a movement, we're there to support people. But the other thing to point out is a lot of our organisations are run by volunteers. Volunteers do not come for free. They do amazing work, but how can we make sure it's sustainable? Embed it within other activities. So for us, our online centres will be doing a lot of different things. The providers that we work with, like Lloyds Banking Group, it's about embedding digital in other activities. And this one, Access, Ask Telecoms, this came from my chief exec, Helen, who can't be here today. But basically, there's a lot of people that still can't afford to get online. And we can't just rely on them being able to access it in McDonald's or Starbucks or wherever it is. Actually, let's make it more affordable so that people can do it in their homes. And let's be ambitious and let's work together to make sure that people do have the access and the skills.